All right. Hello, DFS Army. Happy Friday, November 1st. Good to see you all. This is Sam, aka Darth Pasta. Welcome to our weekly Friday night in the Crease. With me, as always, is Scott, aka Tattoo. How you feeling? I know you're a little under the weather, but it's hockey. He's grinding it out. So how's it going?
This ain't the NBA. We play through. So, yeah.
1000% fact. And then also with us, as always, is Sean. Good to see you, man. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. How about you guys?
Sugar Sean.
Yep, little sugar, little sugar crash from Halloween last night. The daughter going trick or treating, getting some candy. The kids at school having a lot of candy yesterday, and then everybody's just kind of on the little crash this afternoon. So we're hanging in there. So yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us. Those of you all who are viewing. Yeah, if you got some questions, always throw them in the chat. Let's see, get that out of here. Sorry. All right, so we've got 5 games on our schedule tonight. I think we got some good matchups, some good spots for some players, some teams, some good spots maybe to get a little bit of leverage on the field, maybe some overlooked spots. So I think let's just dive right in. We got the domination station pulled up. We can see the game tiles right here. We can just kind of go in order as we see them. So the first game we've got, maybe, I don't know, least exciting. I don't know. So we've got the Islanders here on the road in state at the Buffalo Sabres. A little lower game total of 5.5. The Sabres, maybe a little sneaky offense, I guess league-wide. They've got some talent, especially that top line. The Islanders are just kind of cold as all get out. They've only got, I think, 8 goals in their last 5 games. Matthew Barzal didn't make the trip. So I don't know how interested we are in them. But Sean, what's your take? What are you seeing here in this one? Any interest in any of the players or the lines or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually. I think I wrote up. If not, I put it as a late addition. A little bit of the Islanders' second line that goes with the power play. That Siplikov kid, he's just, I think it's literally his rookie year, but he's kind of got that Dorofeyev role from Vegas. Even I have no idea who's better. I'm assuming Dorofeyev's a better player, but like that sniper that is on the second line that's on the power play, he's cheap.
3,300 on DraftKings.
Yeah. And Brock Nelson's probably their best scorer. I'm actually on that line a little bit with Barzal out, and I'm not convinced about Devin Levi yet. He showed some signs his rookie year last year, but he's been very inconsistent, and he can get lit up.
Yeah, with
that's
Barzal
kind of where
out,
I'm at.
It consolidates the production a little bit.
Yeah.
How about on the Buffalo side? Thompson's been heating it up. He's got a 7-game point streak going on, and that top line is pretty solid. Tattoo, what do you think about them? Do you like them at all tonight?
I'm using Sorokin a lot. I'm really hoping that Buffalo doesn't do much, but like you said, Tage has been really hot. I think I wrote him up on my sheet today. Let's see. He got 4 goals and 5 assists in his last 5 games. So I call that hot. So,
he's pulling a little bit of ownership too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Buffalo
and
goals, but they score, a little over 3 a game. So. But Islanders don't give up a lot of goals.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. But
So
I also think that Cousins isn't as bad as his numbers show. He's been pretty good over his career, even though he's still young. He's cheap as well. But I'm not really going against Sorokin when he's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
The Islanders just muck up every game they're in. They try to. Patty Wall's been trying to break him out of it a little bit, but they're just old and kind of slow. Like they need to start figuring out what they're doing there.
And I like him better. Even I like him on FanDuel. I played one lineup because he's like I think 7,100. Sorokin is on FanDuel.
Oh, it's a much better price there because Buffalo can shoot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it better than 7,900 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see one of Tage's one-timers was clocked like 106, like end game? You see like all these defensemen, it's like 89 to like 94 miles an hour. He's just like 106. Pow.
Yeah, he just
Doesn't matter.
He just continues to go overlooked as a star.
Yeah.
He's just,
I mean, it was
just because he's in Buffalo.
It was just like the year before last where he scored like 45 goals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Alrighty. So any other thoughts from that one? We move on to the next game. There's a little bit of interest on the Buffalo side for me. The Islanders, I think, again, are just going to kind of go, under the radar a little bit. And just because they haven't been playing well. So, if you want to get, you want to have a little bit, some shares in them in your MME. Just in case they go off. But other than that, it's not a spot I'm terribly interested in.
Especially if you can get JGP for 2,700. JG.
Jean-Gabriel Pajot.
Gabriel Pajot.
There he is. Yep. A little highly owned, kind of too. A little surprising, but probably just because of the price.
Yeah, 2,700 on the first line. And
yeah,
Buffalo.
He's a perfectly viable one-off.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to, I think maybe another fun game tonight. We got the Senators, over a goal and a half underdog to the Rangers at home. You see, they've got the highest implied team total on the slate. I think for good reason. Ottawa's defense hasn't been, the best, but their offense has been solid. They've got 25 goals in their last 5 games. The Senators, that's the highest for any team over their last 5 games. So they've been scoring the puck. Linus Ullmark has looked like Linus Ullmark did when he was in Boston. So I don't know if this is a leverage spot. Shesty can get blown up sometimes. It doesn't really happen a lot when the Rangers are at home. But I don't know, with how hot the Senators have been, especially like Giroux and Stoitzla and Batherson, they've all got 5-game point streaks going on. Is this a leverage spot, do you guys think? Or are we just more focused on the Rangers side?
I like Ottawa. They're scoring over, I think, probably the most goals in the league. Unless Winnipeg might be, They're right there with the Rangers, over 4 a game. And like you said, Igor can get got. So
yeah. And Igor is also the most expensive on the slate. He's probably going to end up being in consideration for the cash goalie. But I think he's a perfectly viable fade in tournaments.
I haven't even really looked at this game. So Shesterkin's in is Ullmark, the Ottawa goalie, confirmed. Okay. Well, I wrote up.
Brady,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I would say besides Brady, they're all great. Price. Everybody's between 45 and 65 tops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look at that price for Allmark, because the Rangers are going to shoot, but you're getting Allmark for $7K.
Just always scary. But yeah, I mean, I wrote up Panarin as my favorite expensive guy and my cash game guy. I'm only playing one tournament lineup today, and I faded this game altogether. But in general, pieces of this game altogether make sense because there's just talent everywhere. It's just basically the goalie scaring me a little bit. But I love Fox's price on DraftKings as well.
Oh, absolutely. He's in my cash line as one of my defensemen.
That makes a ton of sense.
And I think it's always viable. I mean, if you look at, here's Panarin, third highest, or, he's right at the top ownership wise, for your forwards, going down to the Mika and Kreider line is just, it's a perfectly viable. If you wanted to fade Panarin and fade that chalk, just go to the other line, because you're still going to get your power play correlation too. All right, Doug. Yeah, Doug, you've got a question. Guys, how important is stacking in single entry and 3-max? Like, I know you two are more of the single entry than I am. So, Tattoo, what do you think? How would you answer this?
1,000%. It's a lot easier to pick two teams than it is to find, 8 or 9 individuals to get it right. So I definitely stack in single entry and 3-max. I mean, the only thing I don't look to stacking is cash. And even that, you normally get a couple, But yeah, definitely stack.
So if you're hand building 3-max, if you guys are hand building 3-max, how are you blending lines together? Are you just basically choosing two teams and mixing and matching, or like how many teams would you have exposure to in a 3-max situation?
All right. So if you're playing 3 lineups for sure in the 3-max, right? So what I would do is I would probably do one all in and just send it with one, and then find a secondary stack on each one, and then just hope I'm right on my all in. But I'm an exploitative player.
Last night I was pretty much all in on Washington, and then my other 4, my 4 lineups, I just danced around Washington, and I mixed and matched a little bit with putting in McMichael or Verana, or just moving Washington around. I almost had a takedown, but came in 6th, I think.
Yeah, like if you're like strong in your convictions and there's like a full line stack that correlates probably on the power play or something, like the Jets tonight, and you think Elvis could just shit himself, you could just send that on the 3-max and then maybe have Morrissey in there, and then you can just change your secondary stack. Like maybe you go Islanders 2, maybe you go, I'm trying to think what else could be there, Buffalo 2 or something.
Right. So you're just taking one main group of players and rotating them through as the main stack in all 3 lines, but not necessarily the same 4 players from that team in all 3 lines. Maybe you've got player A, B, C, and D in your first line. You've got player A, B, C, and E in the second line, and then player B, C, D, and E in the third line, all from the same team.
Yeah, because like if you like did like the Winnipeg example, and then like in your third line, you're like, oh, maybe it's not a Kyle Connor game and he doesn't do it, then you can pivot to like a Jack Hughes something, secondary. You can have a more expensive secondary stack. It's just a different construction.
Right. It's very similar, I think, if you're playing, if you're doing NFL and you're doing 20 max, you're building around one, maybe two quarterbacks. You're taking a little bit more of a stand and, like y'all said, going all in on kind of that core and then rotating the surrounding pieces in and out.
Yeah, I think single entry, 3 max, 20 max, you got to make a stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you can't really try to spread out at all.
Try to get everybody a piece of everything in 20 max.
Mm-hmm. Your 150, it's a perfectly valid strategy because there's so many paths for anything and everything to fail. So having a little bit of everything makes some sense. Now you're gonna,
should stretch from one end to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially these like 5 game, like 4 to 6 games is kind of like a weird sizing where we gotta like think about leverage and stuff a little bit. Like normally you can just play the best plays, as like Chop was saying in chat. But some, like I've noticed on bigger slates, like the really big ones, like the one where every team played the other week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Frozen Frenzy.
Yeah, the GPP winning lineups are like not outrageous like you would think. Like if you were doing that in NFL, like it would just be the nuts would be the absolute nuts. But with so many hockey games, there's so many ways for so many lineups to fail because there's so many options.
Yep. And going overweight on the chalk and those on the larger slates too, like a lot of times is suboptimal because again, anything can fail on any given night. It's less predictive. So, going all in on the chalky team can, sometimes, be negatively good. So,
yeah.
Okay. So Doug, I hope that answered your question. Good question. Before we go on a smaller slate like this, we all are talking about, I know that you two like, when you're doing your single entry, you two like, the 3-3-2 stack size. On a smaller slate like this, will you stick to that, or will you look to sometimes go more of like the 4-3 just to kind of consolidate and get a little bit of leverage size wise like that? Or do you guys stay pretty consistent stack size wise?
To me, it's just kind of how the build goes as I'm doing it. If I decide, I usually I feel like I start trying to find a 4, and then go from there. But then if I need to get rid of one of those 4 to make another stack work, so I'm just moving pieces around, and as long as I ended up with at least 3-3 or 4-3, I'm usually good. So.
Okay. So a little bit more organic for you, just based on what the fit looks like.
Yeah, it just depends. I'm kind of weird, and I like having all my dudes on the power play 1 that also correlate. I know that's like kind of flawed because like tonight, Lafreniere for the Rangers is a perfectly good player. Like he's talented and on a great line. So like he's viable in Panarin Trocheck stacks. I just usually don't have him, and he usually scores. But it just like depends on those types of builds. Like for me, like you could throw Lafreniere in as that 4th, but I would have Panarin, Trocheck, Fox. But like if a line is like all together, like how I was talking about like the Islanders 2, for example, you could throw Dobson on there. Same with Morrissey with or Pionk at this rate. I mean, I'd rather have Morrissey, but Pionk's killing it for the Jets. It's like it just depends on how like the defense, like because if I'm doing a 4, usually the defenseman's in there.
Right.
So.
Are you almost done, Daddy?
All right.
You done?
No. Sorry, it's my daughter. You almost done, Daddy? Not quite. All right, so moving on to the third game. Almost an identical spread of what we just talked about. The Jets on the road, making the trip or staying on the trip east to Sean's beloved Columbus Blue Jackets. We were talking before the show started. Is this a trap? The Jackets are playing well. I don't know if that surprises anybody, but they're playing well. Elvis is in the building at the moment. He leaves the building quite frequently too, I know. I don't know, what's y'all's thought? Like, is this a trap for Winnipeg, or are they just going to keep doing what they've been doing? Because they've kind of looked like they're the best team in the league right now.
I'm gonna let Tat go first, and then I'm just gonna any other points I'll just riff. This is my lane.
Man.
See what he's
Is
cooking.
this the trap? It feels like it. It feels like it's everybody's used to picking on, Columbus. They're the dog shit team. They suck. They're snake bitten, but not this year. So far, I mean, where are they at here? They're giving up
Columbus.
2.78 goals a game.
Mm-hmm.
They're like Sean says, they're in there mucking it up, making it tough for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, So, did I play Winnipeg in my single entry? I did. Am I worried that I threw my money away? Yes, I am. Winnipeg really, really scares me tonight. I think they're the best team in the NHL right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a trap. And I might change my
lineup. They've scored the third most goals in the league, just behind the Devils and the and Vegas. They've got the best goal differential. At plus 22, they're 9-1 on the season. They've got the most points in the league. So like everything is screaming that they're definitely cash viable. They're pieces from that game are definitely your cash. But like you said, everything is just sort of screaming trap. Everything is screaming, kind of like we talked about earlier. This might be the team to fade in your tournaments. They've all been playing well. Kyle Connor, points in every single game. He's got 9 goals in 10 games this year. He's my goal of the day, just because he's been hot. But at the same time, Elvis has got a great ceiling. His floor is really, really low, but he's got a great ceiling. So, Sean, I know this is your team, so I'm going to let you kind of just riff, as you said.
Well, I don't know like the Jackets PK stats, but I'm assuming they're good. But the Jets, I think, have the best power play in the league. And the Jets aren't a fluke. Like their power play is legit because they are legit, and they have a deep team and they just crush. But where I'm at with this is they're like a heavy cycle team, and the Jackets just, they're just working hard out there, and they're going to block shots, and they're going to just be pricks. And this game could just be underwhelming. Me being exploitative, I actually took a little Werenski Sillinger twosome here, but I'm probably going to regret it. I wouldn't have done it at all if Hellebuck would have played, but just like everyone, the Jets are like, Columbus, whatever, we're 9-1. Backup goalie goes in. He's been good, but he's a backup goalie.
The Jets penalty kill, by the way, is 12th in the league.
Oh, I was meaning us because the Jackets. Because
Columbus is Columbus is 12th in
kill.
Yeah.
So 12th in kill, and the Jets are the first power play, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
they're first at.
So yeah, that kind of screams trap a little bit, but this is just like anything DFS wise, right? We are thinking about if then statements. If you're not taking the Jets and they're kind of chalky, then maybe you want Elvis in your lineup in tournaments. If you don't have Elvis with his ceiling, maybe, and like his cost effectiveness, maybe you want some Jets pieces. Maybe you don't want Kyle Connor price, but maybe you want like a little sprinkle of Velarde, Morrissey, or something. I don't know.
44.8% power play for the Jets. 44.8.
Okay, that's not sustainable, but yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I think you want one or the other. I think you want the big offense, or you want Elvis. You know,
it's
one of them.
It's gonna be tough to read this one, but this game, everyone could be pissed off by the end of this game. This game could be like 2-1. The Jets win, whether it's overtime regulation. The Jets attack doesn't get there. Elvis doesn't get his win. No one's really going to play Comrie in tournaments. I think he's fine in cash, but he doesn't really. The Jackets aren't shooting that much, I don't think. I think they're being very opportunistic. Like yesterday or whenever that was, 2 days ago, when Elvis shut out the Islanders. Like, yeah, we had a goal taken away that I missed. I didn't even see it. I'm assuming it was the right call. But, like, it was just a puck off a defender's skate. Like, it was just gross. It's just they're getting a little bit of puck luck, and they're just battling.
Right.
I think their top, like the Jackets' top line is sneaky a little bit with no Hellebuck. But I would maybe be barely over the field. And then maybe the Jets, maybe you go a little underweight is what we're saying. You still want some, especially in cash.
Yep. Because there are some offenses that have just as high an upside that are in a slightly worse on paper spot. Just to get you, like you said, to get you off the chalk.
Yeah, like I think Jack Hughes is just a better play in general for the same price as Connor, but Connor has been just destroying everyone.
Right. Yeah.
And Nico is a better play than both of them at $1,000 cheaper.
Alrighty. Any other thoughts about that one before we go on to the fourth on the slate? It's either going to be a 6-5 game or it's going to be a 2-1 game, and probably nothing in between. Yeah. Alrighty. So the next one we have the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road up in Minnesota facing the Wild. It's a lower game total. It's just a game total of 6, and it's almost a pick 'em pretty much right here. 3.1 for each team. Let's see what I have written down. They both got over 4 goals a game in their last 5. We know all about the Bolts, their offense. Kucherov is always in play. Braden Point, and then on the Wild side, Kaprizov. I love him. He's quickly become one of my favorite players. He's got 14 points in his last 6 games.
Yeah, check his MVP odds.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
neither one of these give up goals.
Right. And again, that's unsustainable. But he's, like I said, he's one of my favorites. Quickly becoming one of my favorites. So if the goalies have an off night, I mean, it could be a sneaky game. So I'm just kind of curious, which side do you guys like more, and why? If you had to pick one.
I'll go. It's tough because I feel like this is almost the same thing as the last game, where we could get a defensive game and nobody scores, or we get a 8-7, shootout. I guess if I had to pick a side, I might lean Tampa. just maybe I trust their goaltending more than I trust Minnesota. But I mean, I think it's a toss-up.
Mhm.
You know.
All right, Sean, how about you?
I don't really have too strong of opinions here. Like I said, in that 9K range, I'm more on Panarin for my safest play. But if I was going this game specifically, I would probably lean Wild. I wish they just put Eriksson Ek on that top line to just make correlating way easier. But
yeah,
they're doing that 2-2 thing, but for the power play reasons. But Kaprizov is just amazing, and like I know Kucherov is very similar or better, but they are also just relying on Kaprizov more. Like John Cooper will, play matchups. He'll roll his lines the way he wants to, and he'll grease up some games for you. Where Kaprizov will just play in the mid-20s minutes wise, and his opportunity cost for how much he plays is insane. And the fact that the Wild are at home, so they get last change. If they see something they like, they can roll him out. And the Wild, like, even though Gustafsson is a little streaky in net, their blue line is just pretty solid in general. And Spurgeon's back, their captain. They got Brodin, Spurgeon, Faber. They got some guys that have good sticks back there. And Kucherov relies on seeing things and opening up the defense.
And you can kind of see here, like, just the ownership and everything. Kaprizov is going to be a little bit more owned, so you're going to take some shots leverage-wise that way too. And then if you look at the goalies, let's see. Salary. Yep.
Vasilevsky's hurting my best ball teams.
Yeah, the DS favors the Tampa side a little bit, or the Vasilevsky side a little bit too, which is interesting because both teams can shoot too.
It's just there's not many discounts there.
Yeah,
they're all good.
I don't know. I think I would lean the Wild tonight too. I think also just because, like you said, they're at home, and I think some players might just see Tampa Bay and just think they're the sexier team, and so I think some people might gravitate toward them a little bit too. And the secondary pieces for Minnesota are going to be cheaper too. Point and Gensel and Hedman are all going to be more expensive than.
Oh, did we lose you?
Me?
Yeah.
Am I here? Am I good?
Are we back? That was kind of sketchy.
Oh, that was weird. No, I think what I was saying is all the other top line pieces for the Lightning are going to be way more expensive.
Yeah, I think Sean's got a ghost or something.
Oh, he froze. Okay. Well, technical difficulties. But yeah, if you're looking at, point 8,600, Gensel 7,400, how much is? Welcome back. Oh, there he goes again. But no, so Hedman 6,700, and then you look at the Wild, where their pieces like you got Zuccarello and Rossi. Sorry,
JEE is reasonably priced now.
It's
500.
Yeah, 6,700 for him. Faber, look at that, 4,600, and he sees 25 minutes a night. And he plays all three situations. He's on the top power play.
And Zooks is 6,700.
So your correlating pieces on the Wild are going to be cheaper too, which is going to allow you maybe to fit in like a Panarin for an upside or something.
Yeah, their scoring maybe more condensed too than Tampa.
Correct. So like I said, if I were going, I would go heavy. I personally would go heavier on the Minnesota side. Welcome back.
Oh my gosh, what the hell? Oh
I
well.
don't know.
Turn off the
Hit the
porno,
spike.
so don't
Yeah.
freeze
No.
you.
But like I said, I would personally go heavier on the wild. I think just again they're at home, you can fit them in a little bit easier. And if you're really looking at Vass being projected better than Gustafson, well then you can get a little bit of leverage too, and you're also getting him a little cheaper. If you're looking at the ownerships, Gustafson is projecting the second lowest owned too. So, all right. And then the last game on the slate. This is some goodness here. We got the New Jersey Devils staying out west. They played in Vancouver the other night. They're staying out west to face the Flames, who have really just fallen back to earth. Right. I think everybody knew their start just wasn't sustainable. They were punching way above their weight, and they've crashed back. They've scored 9 goals in their last 5 games, and they've given up 22 in those 5. The Devils' offense is legit. Again, tied for the most goals in the league with Vegas. They've got 50 goals. So Jersey is the late game. Their offense is in just as good a spot as any on the slate, I think, beyond maybe the chalky Jets. So maybe they're the pivot from those other offenses. And then we've also got the Jacob Markstrom going back to Calgary, the little bit of a revenge narrative. So lots of little moments to talk about. Sean, what do you think? Where are you going here in this one?
Even though he sure has been amazing, I'm still going with Jack Hughes, barely over 8,000. And, Bratt is still really a good play in general, and all those guys, Dougie Hamilton. But just going back to that Markstrom point that you made, I know we were talking a little bit beforehand. Before the trade deadline last year, there was a bunch of rumors leaked about him getting traded and all this stuff when he was in Calgary. And he didn't. I think he's got beef with the Flames. They ended up not making a deal by the deadline, so he was just stuck there, just pissed and losing. And then he didn't know if he was gonna get traded over the summer. Just a bunch of wondering. So I think he's gonna get booed. I don't know if he's got a spine, but he is 6'6" and is playing against a bad team. This is my pick to win the Metro. I know the Rangers are killing it now, but my preseason pick to win the Metro against a lottery team that I had picked beforehand, that I was a little concerned to start because Calgary was looking good, but it was false. I think Anderson will be gone by the deadline too, Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah.
But, I'm not really on any Flames. I would say I feel bad for Jonathan Huberdeau because he is underrated talent-wise, but he's wiping his eyeballs with Benjamins. So
yes,
I'm on either the line 1 or the line 2 of the Devils, and Markstrom is one of my favorite goalies on the slate. That's kind of where I'm at.
And again, I mean, looking at just right here, the centers, right? Both are on the top power play, but you're getting Hischier at $1,000 cheaper. You're also getting him at 6%, 5-6% less ownership. Tattoo, I think you're on the Hischier side, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just because he's been so good.
He's been so good. And then the discount helps you get Jesper in there. And I've even I'll play Jack Hughes with Nico if I can get him to fit. They're still all on that power play 1 together. But yeah, New Jersey looks juicy tonight for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no real interest in the Calgary side from any of you, from either of you.
A little. I mean, they haven't scored much recently, so. But in a tournament, I would get, I'd definitely probably have a little bit.
Mm-hmm. They're not terribly expensive either.
I usually like Kadri, but like I didn't even look at him today, so I don't even know his salary. But like he's been appropriately priced for a while.
He's like 59.
So I'm not
something like that. Yeah, I just had him up. Sorry, where did it go?
So I'm not like, I mean, he probably worth like 65, so you might be getting a little bit of a discount, but I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it, but like you get him, like Kuz is 3,900, 4,000. So you can definitely,
Oh yeah, Kuzmenko.
Yeah, I mean that trio right there is like 12,000. So Kadri's in my cash line right now, too. Just I mean, he out of anybody, he shoots more than anybody on that team.
Yeah,
so if he's going to give me the volume, and they're going to have to try to keep up somehow, then
I like Rasmus. I mean, he's expensive as all of them at 5,900.
Mm-hmm. What are the Oilers going to trade to get him? Broberg?
I already missed Broberg. Why you got to bring that up?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But you got Anderson, you got Uyghur too. Uyghur's my other cash defenseman with Fox, and he's actually $100 cheaper. So, but I'm leaning one of the two of them. I'm going to go with Uyghur just because of the top line and the top power play. But I think either are cash viable tonight too.
Uyghur does everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so does Anderson, but he just has that upside because he's just got a better shot. In all honesty, that's why he's on the power play.
All right. Y'all have from any of the games any favorite low owned, way under the radar, either just sort of one off, or just what your favorite one off would be, or any kind of stack that you want to look at?
Let's see.
From any of the games.
Yeah, mine would be that Islanders too, just because of like the role that they're going to play. They might all play 20 minutes, and they're pretty cheap. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would just say just one off Siplikov and see what the heck happens, because he's like 3,500, and then that just opens up, the whole build from there.
Tattoo, how about you?
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, it is. But on a 5-gamer, you kind of have to get gross a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. I don't mind that second Islanders line. Maybe going, Winnipeg line 2, which I don't know how. I mean, unchalky that would be.
I don't know if I know I'm gonna get called a homer and stuff, but and granted, I was on 0 if it was Hellebuck in, but what do you guys think about any of the top CBJ guys like Mark? Even though we're not getting the beginning of the year discount that they were insane with to start the year, but 5K line 1 power play 1 guys Chinakov's pretty he's pretty nasty a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I like because Monahan's 5,700, and he's been playing great. I mean, like you said, China and Creel are both right there, 52-47. I mean
it's $15,000.
Yeah.
Hell, you can throw in Wierzynski or Prokhorov.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only 3,600.
Yeah, he blocks a ton of shots too on the penalty kill. Like he's got a floor to him. It's just right now it sucks that the engine that the team has is Werenski taking the puck and just skating forward. Like he's the breakout. Like I have unfortunately had to watch this team for years, but he's looked as good as he's had ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm excited for Fantilli and stuff in the future, but right now we're either dumping it in and just pounding your ribs into the wall, or we're having Werenski just skate it in, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a power play.
I think my sort of under the radar, I don't know how under the radar it is, but I think that second line of Ottawa might be my favorite tonight, just with how well they've been playing. The Batherson, Norris, Giroux line. They're not expensive. Again, they're 15,000 for the three of them. And you get a couple pieces on the top power play line too. So just kind of as a leverage play, if Shesty just has one of his random off games. And I mentioned it earlier, Batherson and Giroux both have a 5-game point streak going on, so they're playing really, really well.
Yeah,
I think they would be my kind of favorite.
And to further your point, like if like Ottawa's one of the best scoring teams in the league, and I don't think that's fluky based on how young and fast and talented they are.
Mm-hmm.
If assuming the Rangers will score some goals, whether that's Zibanejad or Panarin, like we don't know, we're gambling there, but there's a chance, Ottawa falls behind, and if they fall behind, they're one of the teams that's not going to roll 4 lines. They're going to roll 6 or 9 to try to get back into the game.
Mm-hmm. And I think more people may go toward, and you can kind of see it in the ownership, the Brady Tkachuk line, the top line too.
Yeah.
So that second line gives you some power play exposure as well at a little bit of a leverage spot. Any thoughts on kind of like individual one-offs, little value pieces, individuals?
God, I feel like we talked about one earlier. Now I can't remember who it was.
Well, I was on Siplikov, but Stefan Nason, he's always
yes.
He's always just there. Like the talented Devils, especially on that sick power play, they'll just throw it off of his ass cheek and it'll go in.
Yeah, he made my country.
And they're still not pricing him up for his production. I mean, look at him; he's 3,800 still.
We were talking about those. Like our boy over there was asking about like stacking, like whether it's you're doing 3 or 4. Like he's a throw-in 4. Like that's a good example.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, just because of how well he's been playing and his price, is Will Cooley. Like I know he's 4th line. I know he's not getting a ton of minutes, but he's got 8 points in 9 games somehow. He doesn't play a ton of minutes, but he's been maximizing what he's got. So I know it's streaky, and he won't need to do much to pay off the basically the min price there on DraftKings. So I think I would lean there as kind of my favorite.
I was wondering if Marco Rossi was still cheap, but I think they priced him up finally.
Let's see.
Well, I'm just trying to think.
4,900. That's not awful.
Not for a top line. I mean, they give Eriksson the power play, and for good reason. But
yeah,
if you get to play 16 to 20 minutes skating with Kaprizov, like that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I played some Cole Sillinger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just because, again, the price for the top power play line too.
Yeah. Dean Evison's power play just looks way better. Like they've had some stinker power plays, but if you've seen us attempt to play hockey the last 2 years, it's been abysmal. And now we're actually ripping it around the power play a little bit.
Well, I think part of it is they're young, but they're finally getting comfortable with each other too. That's part of it.
Well, he had a top 10 power play with the Wild last year too, and I mean the Wild have been together, and John Hines is keeping the same power play, but it's just the Torts power play situation is still true. I think I could be wrong, but I know they're not on the slate, but Philly's power play is kind of bad. At least it has been for years.
All right. We've got our goal of the day call in. I know mine is Kyle Connor. Sean, whose was yours again?
Mr. Panarin,
the breadster.
I had Nico.
Yeah. Tied for the league lead in goals. Finally looking like the number one pick. Like really taking that step forward. It's really nice to see. All right. Any parlay or anything like that? Tattoo, I know you like to put those together sometimes too. Ooh, got a question. Oh, Hunter, sorry to cut you off. Value defenseman. Anybody pop to mind, you two? Value defenseman.
Tat talked about Provorov a little bit.
Yeah, Provorov.
I think Pellick for the Islanders can block some shots for you. I'm trying to think of who else is way down there, because that's a viable strategy. I like some guys in the middle can definitely do it for you. Like I think I dropped when you guys were talking about the Wild some more, but Brock Faber's, even though he hasn't done it this year, he's a very good price. But usually I'm at the top end or the bottom end of the defenseman price tags.
Victor Mancini.
That's you're diving down it, but yeah. Let me see. I gotta pull it up.
Owen Power is probably a little bit too expensive for a value, but he's got a 5-game point streak going on.
What about Bowen Byram? It's kind of let me go. There's just a lot of viable ones down there.
Yeah. Nick Jensen.
Siegenthaler.
You said Owen Power.
He's probably a little bit too pricey for a true value defenseman. He's 4,200 tonight.
We're completely overlooking one, gentlemen. We are overlooking what is the revenge game of Kevin Ball.
Ooh, there you go. There you go.
There's the Galaxy Brain 2 stack. Yegor Sharangovich and Kevin Ball. Revenge. Then they just get right into Markstrom's face. It just gets gross. No, it's not. Yeah. I'm cheesing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan DeMello could be. I mean, he doesn't really get the special teams, but he's cheap and it's the best matchup. So if you're wanting a piece of the chalk team, I mean, you could throw him in there too, I guess. He's not terribly exciting to me, but I'm just looking at the price. And if you want to go other places for your stacks.
Yeah, and there's a couple of Stone Min guys too. You got Matthias Samuelsson. I think he's on the PK for the Sabres.
Let's check.
Got a little bit of a floor, and then I don't think he's on any special teams, but like he played 20 minutes last game, and he's got 4 assists this year. Is Jake Christensen for the Jackets. I don't think he's like that's just like if you need it, you can take one of those two and not feel terrible about your life. But
yeah, DFO has Samuelsson on PK1, and we don't.
Yeah, there you go. Min price shot block bonus, Matthias Samuelsson.
Love that. Cool. All right, we were talking about parlays, and I think we got 4 minutes until lock. Did you have anything that you had put together for the night?
need Nico and your boy goals.
Oh, Kyle Connor.
Kyle Connor.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing a points parlay. Maybe taking like Nico, Jesper, Jack Hughes to get 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just trying to think of another team I really trust to score. It's usually easier. You can go with like Connor, Sheffley, and Morrissey or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I try to find teams that I trust and take 2 or 3 guys on the same line, same power, that correlate, and just try to, put myself together a 3 to 6 man parlay. And then I'll try to, if I have 3 guys from one game, 3 guys from another game, I'm going to play them separately too.
Mm-hmm.
And then throw them together for 6 and just, like you said, 1 goal can knock out a whole parlay.
Yep.
So it's just harder with some guys because your studs are going to be 1.5 points. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't put anything together, but like if I had to like do like a little cash builder, I would think about maybe the over on Ottawa and Rangers, and then like Devils puck line or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And if you ever want to parlay games, use Bet365 because you get that early payout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's true.
If a game, go by 3 goals, don't matter if they lose the game or not. You've already won.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I live in Texas. We don't have that here. We can't have nice things here.
You can murder. You can't kill a baby, and you can't bet.
That'll come someday, I'm sure.
Are you from Michigan, or did you just like hockey from a really young age?
I'm from Iowa, but
okay.
My girlfriend in high school, they were a host family for the team and where I grew up from the USHL.
Okay.
So they got free tickets, so we would go to all the games, and I fell in love with it. So
yeah, we've told people in our community, like if you can, like if there's a team around, you go to a game. They're bangers. Mm-hmm. It's better to go live. I haven't been, but the Jackets are wanting me to go now. Like before the season, I remember like taking screenshots of the roster, and like I know it's really early, but I was like, this is one of the, like, I know we've had a lot of things happen. Jenner got hurt, Gaudreau, but I was like, this team is one of the worst teams I've seen on paper to start a season. Mm-hmm. And now we're here.
Twin brother.
Hmm? Oh my gosh.
But no, so that's how I fell in love with hockey. It was the like 90, when did I date her? Like 94, 95. So that's a big reason why I'm a Red Wings fan, is because that's right when they were getting really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And living in Iowa, the North Stars were fine, and this is where my wife is from. So, she wasn't a big sports fan, but she liked the North Stars too. So, and then they moved down to Dallas. And right after we got married for my birthday, we drove up to Dallas to see the Stars and Red Wings, and she loved it too. So,
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about it before, Tap, but we missed it this year. But maybe in the coming years, you can come up to Columbus to watch McDavid get curb stomped again. I'm sorry. We didn't want to hurt him. We didn't want to hurt him, but this is, I think, 2 years in a row where we hurt him.
How many goals does Ovi need?
I think
38, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
Make himself feel better. Think he's. I was
needs
with my luck.
36. He needs 36.
I'm going to see the Capitals in Edmonton February 23rd. So my luck, he'll break Gretzky's record that game, probably.
He's got to pick it up a little bit.
The thing is, he could go like 2 weeks without scoring, and then you're like, oh, it's not happening this year. And then all of a sudden, in the next 5 games, he's got 7, and he's on pace again.
Yep.
Like,
so I think it's going to take him until next year, and I think he stays. You know, there's always the fear of him going home, but I think he stays if he doesn't get it.
Oh,
this
yeah,
year.
he's going to break it.
He's not going to, he's going to break the record before.
Can you break it in the playoffs? Because I have them as a playoff contender.
I assume it's a regular season.
It's regular season, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I should have known that.
Still be 8 zillion points behind Gretzky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that thing's never getting broken.
It'll never get broken. It just depends on how you do the error adjustment.
Yeah.
I know we were texting about it, but it's a lot of ifs, and that's why I feel bad about injuring your boy, Tat, because if he gets to I know, but each game is very valuable in his career.
Yeah.
Same with Matthews too.
Yeah, I mean, he lost that prime scoring those games during COVID, and he was in the prime.
Yeah. If McDavid can keep this pace till he's like in his upper 30s and he gets like decently above 2,000 points, there's a little bit of a conversation. Probably most rational people will be like, no, it's Gretzky, but I'm a little nutty.
He'd have to have a few cups in there.
Yeah, it's a team sport. Your GM sucks. That's not McDavid's fault.
No, it's not. No.
My team is no good this year either, but
I still say we fire everybody and go out $20 million and hire him.
I would be. I'm not trying to twist the knife, but I would be pissed off in your shoes with. Like, you can lose Holloway, but I would not have lost Broberg. And the offer sheet I would have done. I thought that's why you guys traded Cody Ceci. I was like, oh, they're going to keep him now. Nope. I'm putting the Jackets game on my TV right now.
Well, they just have no money. Nurse is eating up all their salary cap space.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like, I mean, I understand with the salary cap, like fans being passionate, and I'm there too. But like, it's not the player's fault for signing on the dotted line.
No, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, like I understand why Edmonton's like, oh, Darnell Nurse not living up to the contract. All right, well, you sign like I would sign a $9 million contract to play hockey. I don't play hockey.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fellas, I'm running out of juice.
Yep, you've been under the weather. You grinded it out, just as expected.
Yeah, stick taps.
Yeah. So, well, all right, y'all who are watching, thank you all. Good questions. The games have started. I don't think anybody scored yet, but we will be here next week as always. You're without me next week. Son's got a swim meet, so it's Sean and Tattoo together. The two
of them try to recruit Burns.
Might get some Burns in to talk about, again, his process, how he uses the research station and a lot of what he does with his metrics. So there'll be some good conversation around that. As always, we've had a really, really, really good start to the season. Lots of tournament wins, lots of cash success. The cash started off hot, cooled off a little bit, got back on track last night. So all of that has been going really, really well. So With that being said, have a great rest of the evening. Have a great weekend. Sean, thank you as always, sir.
Yeah. Have a good one.
And helmets up, and we will see you next week. All right, take care.